Welcome to Eternal Journey, the podcast.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of Eternal Journey, the podcast that talks about all things Eternal with a focus on limited play. I'm your host, Jedi, also known as Caesar the Crowd Pleaser, some of you, that's right. And this week is episode 34 of the podcast, and we are going to be doing a Flame of Xulta pre-release breakdown or hot takes episode. I do apologize for the late release. I was kind of holding out in hopes of getting that fifth mechanic for Flames of Xulta and do our mechanics and number crunch show, but sadly it did not happen. But Direwolf was fortunate enough and generous enough to create a draft format. That's right. Us limited players are finally getting some specific love. So shout out to Direwolf Digital for making that happen and allowing us to. They have interjected 80 commons and uncommons from Flame of Xulta into a draft format, i.e. the curated packs. So we are currently, actually I'll get into that in a minute when we get to that part of this show. But yeah, guys, episode 34. So first things first, want to mention the YouTube channel. That's right. If you are listening to this podcast, you can also view it on YouTube at EJthePodcast or Eternal Journey in your search bar. It should come up. Definitely throw a subscribe out that way so you guys get notified not only when podcasts come out, but as well as draft and event videos. The next one, I am currently uploading 2 drafts from the pre-release that you guys can check out, as well as be recording the hand-picked draft that Farming Eternal is going to be doing that we mentioned the last episode. So check that out once again. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with what's going on with me or chat with me, you can check out either the Discord or Twitter, EJthePodcast on Twitter. All right, guys, that's it for the things, still kind of a small beginning podcast. Thanks to you guys. I really do appreciate it. We are growing. So that's it. No subs, sponsors or anything like that, but that's all good. I don't mind. I'm doing this content because it's a hobby and I enjoy it. And hopefully you guys get a little bit better at Eternal. So let's go to the shout out section. We have a lot this week, which is kind of exciting, super exciting. So first I want to go ahead and give a shout out to the newest and latest subs to the Twitch channel. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out and showing me a little bit of love. Those people are Raven Dragon, Celtic 7 Guardian, Dante Elite 0, and Darth Herman 2. Thank you guys so much for the subs. And of course, much love to all my resubs. I really do appreciate it. We have a couple of people that are creeping up on that fabled dual Darth Maul lightsaber. That is the 6-month subscriber badge. So I think that's super cool. I'm super excited about that. Then, of course, after a lot of people start getting that, I get super excited because then we get to start giving out the Yoda ones, the Yoda badges. I don't even have that one myself. Look at that. I haven't even subscribed to myself for 6 months or 9 months. Look at that. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Once again, Raven Dragon, Celtic 7 Guardian, Dante Lead 0, Darth Herman 2, and then of course all my great resubs. Really appreciate you guys. You guys rock. You guys help me know that I'm on the right path and keep doing what I'm doing. Next up, I want to give a shout out to Blue Sky Dryog. I think it's Dryog. Anyways, I know it's dragon in her home language, but fellow streamer, so definitely check her out. Very active in Twitter, and of course shot me a raid, so I really appreciate that, as well as a deck to have fun with on Inconstructed, a Seraph Combre deck that we made a few modifications to. Next up, I want to give a big shout out to Cassandrith. Cassandrith is a fellow limited streamer. The guy is absolutely phenomenal. Ton of great content. He's about to start a video newsletter, if you will, weekly newsletter giving out information about what's going on with the world of Eternal. He is a huge proponent of the Eternal game. Recently just gave away 10 hard copies of the Eternal tabletop game, as well as just gifting out some of the coupons or the rewards, the tickets that come with it, the codes, there you go, rewards codes that come with it. Absolutely great streamer, streams 4 times a week, and he was kind enough when I did a small little promo that we were getting close to another emote for my Twitch, he went ahead and gifted 10 subs. That's right, gifted 10 people subs to the YouTube channel. So big shout out to Cassandra. Show him some love whenever you are able to. Quick shout out to those people he gifted: Tall Shark and Handsome, Humble Ice, Razfrost, I'm Zbob, Zirben, Old Ironnuts, TV Kelly, Chewbacca 1, D Campbell 2006. Let's see, Leader Maximo 79, Jumpy 2K6, it's Berden, it's Tens, Death 3366, and Gemini. Thank you guys so much, and welcome to Eternal Journey. Next up is Misplay Podcast. They did indirectly give me a shout out by saying that I was one of 4 only surviving podcasts for Eternal. So that's quite important. Thank you guys for helping me keep the lights on here. And yeah, let's keep pushing this great game of ours, and hopefully it gains popularity and Direwolf continues to reward its content creators and just push for great things. So definitely check out the Misplay Podcast. That is Jason Mark out there, Gatu Sujo, and Parmalee. So definitely check them out. They put out great content. I really appreciate their banter back and forth. I think their comedy is quite entertaining. So definitely check those guys out as well. And then finally, Farming Eternal Podcast, another limited focus podcast. Those guys are the ones I've talked about plenty of times on the show with Ben Grazier. Gosh darn it. Give me a second. It's escaping me now. Patumaro, there we go. I guess got Parmalee and then Patumaro and then Barefoot Farmer. Those guys are great. And then of course Celtic 7 Guardian, which I feel like has been on the show 3 times now as a guest. So I kind of feel like she's a part of the show now. So let's throw her in there as well. So Celtic 7 Guardian, Patumaro, Barefoot Farmer, and then Ben Grazier. Absolutely phenomenal people. Check them out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the shout out section. So let's go into our pack 1, pick 1 that actually might change a little bit considering the new pre-release format. Okay, we are still drafting. Oh gosh, darn it. I just had it up and then of course I had to misclick and throw it all off. So I do apologize. I am going to leave this in there because I kind of like you guys knowing that I am human and mess up as well. So no big deal. And really, it doesn't matter for the people that are listening to this podcast, but I like doing it for the people that are actually watching it on YouTube's. Okay, guys, so we cracked open our pack, and in the comment section, we have Svetya's Faithful, Horde Duelist, Direwood Lurker, Auric Lookout, 2/3 Minotaur for 3 and a green. It has Endurance, it has Scout when you summon it, and you can shift it into play for 2. I like that card. It's probably I like that even actually over Svetya's Faithful, believe it or not, even though I do agree that Svetya's Faithful is good. I like the versatility of Lookout. We have Cobalt Coin, Fragility, Mute, and Heist. Yep, so in the comments, Auric Lookout, you're the one. In the uncommons, we have Trickster Mage, 2/3 with Mage for 3 time. Warp cards on top of your deck cost 1 less, and your units cost 1 less to shift. I think this card's fine. It's lost a little bit of value in this new set format just because there's less warp in the curated packs now, because that's what's been modified. Then we have Swift Refusal, not really quite a thing. I've played in a couple decks, but typically one of my last inclusions. And then Outlaw Ringleader is an absolute phenomenal pick. This is a 3/3 Gunslinger Rouge for 4 red. Pay for and twist Outlaw Ringleader to, i.e. give it a +1/-1 to give one of your other units a +4 attack this turn. So if you have a 1/1, oh by the way, an Onslaught trigger, play a 2/1 Drifter. So most of the time you can attack with a measly 1/1 or 2/2, it will die, and then you trigger the Onslaught to play this, and it's a 2/1. Sometimes you get some extra value in there by sometimes they don't block it and things like that. So I always think it's worth triggering the Onslaught. You essentially get the unit back, and if you can obviously trigger it for free, like it's not going to lose your unit, then even better. And the fact that it makes just a plain old 1/1, a 5/1, and a threat, I think this card is great. I like this card quite a lot. It is double red, but all the colors are pretty viable in this format so far that I've seen. So I think I might be taking a Ringleader here. And then we have Aurelian Infestation is our rare. This is the slow spell at 1 time. And you could choose from either play a 1/1 Scorpion with Deadly, or play 2 shifted 1/1 Scorpions with Deadly. Ooh, this is a tough pick actually, just because Infestation is essentially a 2-for-1. Most of the time, when you can, unless you absolutely have to play it as a 1/1 Scorpion, playing it for 2 1/1 Scorpions is awesome because the Scorpions always trade up. At the very least, they force your opponent to use their own rule spell on 1 or 2 of them. So that is kind of a tough pick. I'm going to leave this one up to you guys, honestly. I think I do like time in this format yet again, to be honest with you. But Aurelian Infestation is more of a defensive card, and Outlaw Ringleader is more of a aggressive card. So I think there's a good chance I would probably take Outlaw Ringleader, just because you want to have some ways to win in your deck, and the fact that this comes down on turn 4 makes it so it's a cheaper way to win instead of having to hold out till 7 or 8 power. Yeah, I don't know. I think I could see potential of both, and then both have the potential of being 2 units in 1. So I think here I might just take Ringleader. I would like to try out some more fire in this format. Fire is one of the exalted colors, versus time is the what is the time thing actually, now that I think about it? Oh, mastery. There you go. Time is a big mastery color. So it is up to you guys, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, that's the pack one pick one. I would probably take Ringleader here, but I wouldn't knock you for taking Aurelian Infestation. I do think Infestation is better than Trickster Mage. Alrighty guys, that is it for our preliminary stuff, so let's dive right into the main topic, shall we? We have a new set format thing. So the Flames of Xulta set was supposed to come out recently, but sadly they had to push it back. If I had to take a guess at it, the fact that they implemented a lot of commons and uncommons into the game already makes me feel like it was simply a coding / programming thing, where I mean, we did find out, thanks to the, once again, Misplay podcast, interviewing one of the Direwolf employees, that they are essentially planning 2 years ahead. So the Flames of Xulta set was already done. It's not like they're in the process of creating cards. I think maybe their tech side, and this is strictly stipulation on my part, but you know, I'll throw my 2 cents out there. I think it's a matter of them not having the time. It's taken them a lot longer to code everything in for all the cards than they anticipated. You're seeing this kind of with Magic Arena, if you will. With them, you know, a lot of people are waiting for Eternal sets to hit there, and you know, they haven't really expressed any movement towards that because it just requires every card that they put in, they have to do a ton of coding for that specific card to make sure that the computer understands how every interaction with every other card does. And granted, Eternal is still a small game, or a young game with a small card base, but you never know how long this actually takes and what the programming is. So I think that's why that we see the delay, and why they went ahead and did like, hey, we have these cards already programmed, let's go ahead and put those in there so people can start enjoying them. So long story short, they went ahead and created, I'm not sure if everyone is calling it, but I'm calling it a pre-release draft format, or pre-release. And so they kept Dark Frontier as packs 1 and 4, but went ahead and modified the curated packs, i.e. packs 2 and 3, to not only add the 80 cards, but completely rewire them to accommodate these kinds of adjustments. So it's not the same format plus cards, it is an entirely new format, as you will see watching videos of other streamers and playing it. So a couple of hot takes for you guys, and then once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will have the cards up on the screen for you to check out. I'll be bouncing back and forth on that, so give me one moment to line it up correctly, which may or may not happen. There we go. Okay, just want to make sure you guys can see that. I'll be hovering over the cards as we go down it. So forgive me guys, it is allergy season and it is hitting me quite hard, so I do apologize if I have a slight voice deviation or my occasional sniffling gets on your nerves. I try to cut it back some the best I can. But alright, starting off, we are back to a 2-color format. I say this because the majority of fixing is gone. Strangers are gone, dual lands are gone, or power is gone. What we are seeing now as far as fixing goes is these new 2-drops, 2/2s for 2 that have they're called Evangels, is the cycle. Each color has one. They are 2/2, requiring double influence of the specific color. So the time one is double time, the justice one is double justice. but they have a fate trigger. So when you draw them, or if they're in their opening hand, they will give you an influence of their respective color. So the fire one that costs double fire will give you a fire influence without ever even playing it. I think these cards are pretty solid. They seem to be a fan favorite so far, and I'm on that train. I like them quite a bit. I like the fact that they've added a little bit of sauce and to the 2-drop slot, and have still given us a little bit of fixing, but not enough for us to go absolutely overboard. And of course, Seek Power, which is the 1-cost slow spell that lets you go get any sigil, basic sigil from your deck and put it into your hand. So those are pretty much the 2 forms of fixing. So you are able to do the old school, like 1 or 2 card splash if you really want to, but typically we're back to a 2-color format. Number 2, there is much less removal in this format. A lot of things have been taken out now, so that means that when you do see removal, we already knew it was slightly more rare with the addition of 6.5. Now it's even more rare. I feel like they have taken out some of the removal, some of the combat tricks and things like that, and so we are in a position where cards have the potential of sticking around a little bit longer, as well as there being a little more void manipulation and shenanigans going on in this set. So sometimes the things you kill don't really necessarily stay dead, if you can take that for what it's worth. So yeah, that's a thing. So that being said, the follow-up is number 3. Oh yeah, so you do want to be taking removal strongly higher than you would occasionally. Like removal is already a strong pick in limited, but now it should be a priority. But yeah, moving on to number 3, because there is less removal in the format, that makes flyers. I am so sorry for all those warnings. I hope you guys are not gearing them. I set my gate down low enough that I hope it's not popping up. But anywho, I digress. That makes flyers significantly better now. The fact that there is less removal means that there are less ways to kill flyers, and thus less, flyers are pretty much one of the best ways to deal with flyers. And so flyers are quite good both on offense and defense, even if you are some kind of a ground game. That being said, yeah, you can, if you land 1 or 2 flyers, there is a, ironically pun, land, but flyers. Yeah. So if you have a flyer, chances are that if you're able to stick one, you have a better chance of winning the game, especially these some of these flyers that, well, actually I don't think there are any flyers that have mastery. Let me double check real quick while I have it up, believe it or not. Yeah, we have 1, 2 flyers. Oh yeah, I have yet. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. I was just looking at the mastery. So mastery, I'll get into it in a moment. I really wanted to break these down in depth, probably in the next show, I'm hoping. Funny story is, what if they talk that we were getting 5 new mechanics and we turn out we didn't get a 5th one? Now I feel like I need to fact find and double check if they did say 5. I could have swore they said 5, but I could be wrong. I'm still waiting on that final mechanic. That actually might be what they're having trouble with. Huh, interesting. Anywho, so another thing that having flyers be strong equals is that silence effects are more powerful as well, because obviously you are paying a cost in stats for the flying. So typically, let's say for example, a 3/3 for 3 is pretty standard, right? Like we're not excited about it, but we consider a staple. Well, instead, when you're paying for 3 as a flyer, you might get a 1/2 or a 2/1 or even a 2/2, because you are paying a price in the form of stats to give that unit flying, because we understand it is a good evasion. So silencing these flyers typically makes them pretty inconsequential at that point. So you should be looking at having a couple of silence effects in your deck if you lack some of the removal or flyers to be able to block their flyers. So that's something to take into consideration, guys, when you are deck building. Also, silence is slightly stronger because it does get rid of things like mastery and exalted, which are the new mechanics that were added in Flames of Xulta that we are experiencing in this draft format. So once again, silence has gone up, which I actually didn't add in my show notes, but as talking about it, yeah, so value silence. It's a lot more efficient and effective than you think, potentially in previous formats. I'm not sure. I haven't drafted that much. I actually started drafting in Fall of Argenport, if that can date me or age me, I guess, in eternal time. So moving right along, number 4, I'm still haven't locked down the verdict on aggressive decks. I've been trying to draft as much as I can, as diverse if I can. Obviously, sometimes now it being a 2-color format, it's hard to kind of pick your lane. You kind of have to identify what your lane should be based on the cards that are being passed to you. So sometimes I don't always. So I haven't really been able to draft a solid aggressive deck consistently enough to know whether it can throw down or not. So verdict's still out on that. Let me know in the comments below or on Twitter or live at twitch.tv/Jedi_EJ what you think about aggressive decks in the Flame of Xulta pre-release format. All right, now that goes for like the general consensus hot takes on the format. I know there's not a lot I've tried. I've probably got about 10 drafts on my belt right now. But it's Sunday, we're going to stream again, so I'm probably going to get another 5 or 6 today. Hopefully less, because that means I'm doing better, but we will find out. All right, let's go, like I said, into very specific cards in the format that have stood out to me. So the first card on our list is going to be a neutral card. This is Sword of Judgment. Sword of Judgment is a 4-cost weapon at uncommon. It is a +1/+1. Then has a mastery of 5. What mastery means is that whenever this, and obviously it's a weapon, so it means the unit that it's attached to deals 5 damage total, doesn't matter how, it could be to a player or to a unit or to a weapon, i.e. armor. It will get a certain ability once it reaches that number. So this is mastery 5, so whenever the unit wielding it deals 5 damage, the sword will get a +4/+4, thus making it a 4-cost +5/+5. Yeah, this is really powerful, especially if you're able to put it on an evasive unit, something like it's coming out of a merge or a flyer. This ends up being quite a huge pump, so it ends up being a must-answer threat. It is uncommon, so you won't see it that common, if pun intended, but it is a faction neutral card, i.e. gray, and so, or factionless, I'm not sure what the correct term is for Eternal, so you could see it in absolutely any deck. I think this card is a strong pick in most decks, if not all decks. I like it quite a bit. I've been on both the damage dealing and the receiving end. I've been on the receiving and dealing end of it, and let me tell you, it is pretty backbreaking, pretty discouraging. Heretics Cannon, it is not. But that does not mean it is not a powerful card and could have same swingy turns. Now, I will say this, playing devil's advocate, because I am the only one on the show, I'm going to try to be better about playing both sides of the coin for most cards. I like to think I do, and I have been told I do a decent job of entertaining people by myself, but don't know how that sounds. But I have had some, people inquire about me having a co-host, which I have tried. It just, schedules haven't lined up. It's a big commitment issue for people that don't know, so it's hard to get someone to commit. That's why I've been doing it by myself. But anyways, I digress. So I will say there is the risk. I would highly encourage doing this in a turn with your opponent is tapped out, because there is a chance that you could slap this on an evasive unit, i.e. that doesn't have a lot of stats, and then your opponent removes it immediately, and so you have pretty much just time walked yourself or expended your turn and passed it right back to your opponent without really affecting the board in any which way. There is also the chance that you don't have a unit that can penetrate and deal damage and survive. So let's say you might only have like 3 2/2s on the board and your opponent is playing Combre with a bunch of blockers. You have no flyers, you have no units that are merged, and so this card is literally going to be a 4-cost +1/+1. So that does make it a bit of a liability. But yeah, pick and choose your poison, my friends. Pick and choose your poisons. I am high on it. Next up, this one is an interesting card. I liked it when I first read it. I've only been able to play it once, sadly, but I've heard good reviews about it from other players as well. This is Be Foul. Be Foul is a shadow spell at uncommon, slow spell. It is 4 and a shadow. Sacrifice 2 units to play a 7/6 Bane Wolf. Bane Wolf is a 7/6 wolf, obviously, with the added text of Mastery 7. It becomes unblockable. So if it attacks one time and survives, you are now going to have a 7/6 unblockable that can end the game extremely quickly, if you are catching my drift. There is some additional text on Be Foul. It says, if there are 10 or more cards in the enemy void, play an additional Bane Wolf. So you sacrifice 2 units to get 2 7/6 Bane Wolves. That seems insane to me. I have not done this or seen this happen, but it could happen if there's a bit of a stalemate, a stale board. You guys are just kind of staring each other down, or there is quite a few mill cards in this format. Some of them also have incidental mill, so it's not just a straight mill your opponent. There is one. There's like a 2-cost mill your opponent for 6 card, which gets you more than half of the way there for Befoul. I still don't think it's worth it playing though, but there is a 3/3 that mills you both you and your opponent for 3. That could be a thing. There are quite a few void shenanigans going on. Immortalize is a high pick. Getting cards back out of your void at instant speed and the potential of giving them Exalted seems extremely strong to me. So that's something to be on the lookout. But Beowulf can be a very powerful card. Now, once again, flipping the board. But Jedi, what if you only have 2 good creatures on the field? Or you have only 1 unit left? Then, well, yes, Beowulf just kind of sits, or Befoul, sorry. Befoul just kind of sits there and does nothing, which at the surface level, it is, oh, I'm sorry, it's a spell, so you can't even cast it. I apologize. For some reason, I was thinking it was a curse, but I think those are the other 2 cards we're going to talk about here in a moment. So, yeah, there is a chance that it could just stay there, or if you're playing like Xenon, and the only thing you have on the board is a Behemoth and a Tremor Shocker, obviously, then you don't want to Befoul. Befoul is a situational card, but I do think it is quite strong because, hey, if your 2-drops stick around and they're not really doing anything except potentially holding back your opponent's board ever so slightly, let's go ahead and upgrade, 4/4 worth of stats to 7/6 on one body. That being said, there is also the thing, but Jedi, what if you move your 2 units to 1 unit and they have a single removal spell? Yes, well, there you go. Then you've essentially given your opponent a 3-for-1 because you've spent a spell, i.e. Befoul, to sack 2 of your own units to make 1 unit, and then they killed that 1 unit. So that is, with great cost comes great reward and great risk, etc., etc., all those little things. Either way, I do think if you are careful about it, Befoul is quite a powerful card, and like I said, heaven forbid you should get 2 7/6s out of it. Then you're just spending a card to upgrade, probably an additional 10 worth of stats on the board, or 5, 8 worth of stats. That seems pretty good to me. But, yep, Befoul. Be careful about that card. It is a good one. Moving right along, guys, we have Dramatic Exit. Okay, Dramatic Exit. Man, I do apologize, my friends on YouTube. I'm trying to, go down my list, but I'm just going to go ahead and move that over. Let me get this all situated for you guys. So I do apologize for that. Trying to organize my things so all my YouTubers are able to see everything appropriately. Oh, what's this? Oh, there we go. All right, let's move my notes over here. I like that. All right, there we go. We got it all situated, guys. Okay. It's weird. Okay, let's get back on it. Back on track. So next up is Dramatic Exit. Dramatic Exit is a 5-cost slow spell at uncommon for 5 and a red. Sorry. Give one of your units +4 attack and exalted. Sacrifice it at the end of the turn. So Dramatic Exit, Exalted. What Exalted means is when the unit with Exalted dies, all its stats, i.e. attack and health and battle skills, become a weapon that you then place on another unit in play. So, for example, should you have, let's say, a 2/2 flyer in play and you have a Behemoth, right? Let's go with the Albatross. I don't remember if Albatross is still in the format or not. But let's say you have the Albatross. You were forced to play it on turn 3, so it's just a 2/2 flyer, right? Not doing much anymore. It can't really get in there. Well, you can play Dramatic Exit on it, giving it a +4 and attack and exalted. So it is now a 6/2 flying exalted unit. You attack with it, and your opponent can either choose to block or take the 6 damage, right? And then at the end of the turn, it will die, or if it did get blocked and dies, then it will create a 6/2 flying weapon and place that weapon on the Behemoth. Then the Behemoth, being a 4/6, would then become a 10/8 flying Behemoth. So yeah, Exalted is great. Xulta is really good, actually. Typically in this format, what you're seeing now is Exalted, because Exalted kind of lets you replay the unit essentially for free. If come to find out that they have valued that extremely high, and so you are taking a huge hit on stat to have Exalted on a unit. I.e., for example, in the format, there is a 3 cost 1/1 that just has quick draw and then Exalted. But of course, when it dies, you can give one of your flyers or large units a +1/+1 and quick draw, which can be extremely powerful. And so, that's why you're paying 3 for a 1/1. But there are a couple of things that you may not pick up. Is one, that it doesn't matter how the unit dies as long as it dies. It could die in combat, it could die at the end of the turn thanks to dramatic exit. You can sacrifice it to be foul, hint hint, shoulder shrug, right, or elbow hit, right? Yeah, you guys see that synergy. Or it works great with Emerge. That's right, dramatic exit is awesome with Emerge specifically because of the fact that when a unit emerges, it has unblockable for that turn. Well, Exalted doesn't care if it was for the turn or not. All it knows is, hey, whatever battle skills and stats are on this unit when it dies is what I'm making into a weapon. So when a unit emerges, you slap dramatic exit on it, you get in for an additional 4 damage that your opponent may or may not have been accounting for, and then when that at the end of the turn, when that unit dies, it's going to pass unblockable onto another unit. I know, right? Insane. Oh man, but that is going to be a strictly this format thing. I doubt they will leave Emerge or Shift for the next set, but who knows? We'll find out. Maybe that's the trick to the 5th mechanic, is actually a returning mechanic. No, I think they said it was all going to be new mechanics. Anywho, yeah, dramatic exit. You're pretty awesome. I like this card quite a bit. I had to test it out a little bit, but it's proven to be quite good. Quite good indeed. Once again, this also makes silence effects more powerful because they do shut down Exalted. All right. Moving right along, we have Draw Strength. So Draw Strength is a combat trick that I was not very high on, but after having it played on me and seen it played and playing it myself, I've actually come up on it. This is a fast spell at common for 1 and a green. Give one of your units +1/+1 this turn for each enemy unit. I.e., if they have 1 unit, it is simply a +1/+1. If they have 3 units, it is a +3/+3. So finest hour. And then obviously if it's like some kind of stalled board state and you both have a bunch of units in play, this thing could be an up to something insane like a +6/+6 for 1, which is awesome. Here's another added bonus to it. It has Decimate, which is a new keyword, which means you can pay or permanently remove one of your maximum power to pay for Decimate, and you get an additional bonus. This one is the top 3 units of your deck get a +1/+1. So to reiterate once again, Decimate, let's say you have 6 power, max power, you can have 1 undepleted, doesn't matter. When you play Decimate, or when you play Draw Strength, it would ask you if you want to decimate it, similar to how Shift works as far as the UI, how it operates. And if you decimate, oh yeah, and correct. So first you will play Draw Strength, you don't target anything. Then it will ask you if you want to decimate it or not. Then once you've decided that, it will allow you to pick your target. Just FYI for you people that weren't sure, it kind of threw me off for a second when I was trying to play it. So once again, if you have 6 power, right? Let's say you left up the 1 undepleted power for Draw Strength. It will ask you if you wanted to decimate it. If you do, you will go from 6 to 5 maximum power. And then it will not only give the +X to the unit you're targeting, but then the top 3 units of your deck will get a +1/+1. So yeah, something pretty impressive to consider. This card is surprisingly strong, and it in a more aggressive deck is a little less great just because the boards typically aren't that full, but the later the game goes on, the stronger this card gets, because obviously the more units on the board, then the more of a plus, stat bonus this is. So this card is good. I like it. It typically doesn't work that well in mirrors. If you're both playing it, like someone is going to obviously get the short end of the stick because typically the person that has the fewer amount of units is playing it. But, it is what it is. Sometimes it does work out in your favor, but most of the time, the mirror kind of makes it a little bit tough. Moving right along, we have another unit, Longtail Cavalry. We were just talking about how powerful Exalted is. This unit is the same thing. We'll see it. So Longtail Cavalry is a 2/1 unseen Kirin. Kirin is the new unit type as far as I'm aware. For 5 green. So and it has flying and exalted. So you're paying 5 for a 2/1. 5 power for 2/1. But it has exalted. That means that even though this thing is super vulnerable, if you have any kind of a decent statted unit on the board, then when it dies, when the cavalry dies, it could give that busted unit flying. I've seen this card give Kimmy flying. I've seen this card give a Behemoth flying. I've seen this card give a Heretic Cannon unit flying. So yeah, it's a really tough call. Sometimes this card just says 2/1 unblockable on it because your opponent doesn't want to give another valuable unit flying, so they just sit there and keep taking the 2, not letting this thing die. With obviously having 1 health means it is very easy to kill this thing. So yeah, something to consider. Shoot, there might be a world where you use your Cobalt or your Granite Coin to shoot this thing down. You attack with it, you deal 2, then you Granite Coin it to kill it to give your biggest guy exalted. So that's a thing. But yeah, Longtail Cavalry. I like this card quite a bit. It is a high pick for me. They did kind of narrow it down by making it double justice. And obviously, like I said, this is a 2-color format, so it's not easily splashable. So this is a tough card to take if you're not in justice, but it is quite powerful. I am surprised at the Longtail Cavalry for sure. Exalted is busted, which shout out to Cassandra yet again being one of the first people to be like, oh my god, this is going to be insane. And sure enough, it is, especially in a format with limited removal. Next up, we have one of my favorite cards in the format so far that combos. These 2 cards kind of combo off with themselves, which is one of the first combos I found, I think, in my 2nd draft. And it is Unkindness. Unkindness is a cursed relic at uncommon for 2 and a shadow. And it says at the end of cursed player's turn, if they didn't play a unit, sacrifice Unkindness to play 3 1/1 ravens with flying. So let me tell you, of course, once again, devil's advocate, but hey, this is limited. They always play units. Yes, that is very true. In most cases, decks are going to be playing units, but with twist, with shift, with all kinds of little muster being a thing now, there are some times where curves are thrown off, and so your opponent cannot always play a unit when they want to. Maybe they have to play a removal spell. This is costing you 2. You're essentially paying 2 power for 3/3 flying worth of stats, which is absolutely a great deal. And let me tell you, this is extremely powerful, especially since it's spread across 3 units. Reason being is, if any of you guys have ever played that Humbug Swarm where you're paying 6 for 3 1/1 flyers, you're paying 2 for this, and yes, your opponent can somewhat control when you get them, but I'll tell you what, there's rarely a point in the game where 3 1/1 flyers is not good, because they make great blockers, they make decent attackers if need be, they're great to slap weapons on, but they also combo off very well with our next card. But I'm gonna wait. One last thing to say about Unkindness is sometimes your opponent is really concerned about giving you the flyers, and so they might throw off their curve or their game plan to make sure they can continue playing units. You might try to compare this to Secret Weapon, where it gained a shift tick every time your opponent played a unit. The problem is that shift has 3 turns before you emerge. So it gives your opponent a 3-turn window to continue to play units, versus Unkindness only needs 1. The moment they do not play a unit on a turn, you get the 3 1/1s. And it is at the end of their turn, so they are ready to attack the second it's your turn. Now, the next card is probably one of my favorite cards in the set. I'm surprised. This is one of the ones I was high on very early, actually the first time I saw it. I'm surprised other people needed a little bit of time to come around to it, but this is Blood of Makar. Blood of Makar is an uncommon cursed relic for 4 and a shadow, and it says when one of your units hits the cursed player, it gets a +2 attack permanently. So this card, the reason why I say it combos really well with Unkindness is you drop Unkindness on 2 or 3, doesn't matter. You play Blood of Makar, and you can even wait for Blood of Makar, but let's just say you play it. The moment your opponent misses playing a unit, you get 3 1/1s, right? if by chance, let's say it's Magical Christmas Night and your opponent has no way of stopping flyers, right? You essentially hit them for 3. Blood of Makar will trigger on all 3 units, adding a +2 attack, making 3 3/1 flyers. So now you hit for 3, and then the follow-up, you're hitting for 9. 9! And now having 3 attack means that there's a lot less units that can block one of these ravens and not die. So yeah, and obviously it works really well with Emerge as well, because the unit will emerge, it'll be unblockable for the turn. You'll hit your opponent, it gets a +2 attack, and now even if you leave it back on defense after that, it's a more viable threat, able to trade up on units, able to be more aggressive, and it triggers off of any kind of hit. So Razor Quill's twist ability, i.e. hitting your opponent for 1 and you gaining 1 or drain, will trigger this as well. So not only will you twist the Blood Razor Quill, giving it a +1/+0, but then it will get the additional +2 attack from Blood of Makar. So yeah, this card is really good. I like it. Granted, once again, if you are unable to get any attacks, it's just going to sit there and do absolutely nothing. So there is that. But I think the potential upside, like I wouldn't want a deck full of these. I'm still trying to figure out if you want exactly 1 or if you're okay having 2 in your deck, because obviously they would stack. So as soon as a 1/1 flyer hit them and you had 2, it would become a 5/1. So, but it's still 2 quote unquote do nothing enchantments, because, or relics, cursed relics, because they don't affect the board the turn they come into play. So there is a fine line between there. I will say the downside to that, you have to be careful. You're not just windmill slamming this every time. But I do think it is quite a powerful card and does reward you for having more evasive units. And it works with a go wide strategy. I don't think there's a go wide strategy. I have to double look at the cards, play the format a little bit more. But if you had something where you could do a bunch of rats, you know, so they block maybe 2 rats, but 3 get in and they get upgraded, that could be a good thing too. But yeah, I think evasive units with Blood of Makar is absolutely backbreaking in the correct format. So I like that card. That is one of my big hot takes. All right, going towards the end of this, we have Spiked Tail Kirin. This is our time card. This is a Kirin at common. It is a 2/2 for 2 and a time. The reason why I like this card is because it is a 2/2 with additional text, which makes it viable in the late game. First off, it is a potential power sink. Pay 6 to give Spiketail Kirin a +4/+4 this turn. So it has the potential of being a 6/6. Which, I mean, how many times can you say that about your 2/2? You know, most of the time it just sits on the board and then literally just sits there. Versus now you have the potential of getting in there, and if, you know, if it trades for 1 or 2 units, like you traded your 2/2 up for their 4-drop, or, you know, 2/3 drops or something, that seems extremely viable. But it has some additional text on top of that. Mastery 6, so whenever this thing deals 6 damage period, your units get a +1/+1. So just FYI, because I have made this misunderstanding, it is not an Anthem effect, i.e. it's not like having a Hornet Plenty in play. It actually just gives all your units a permanent +1/+1. So Spiketail will become a 3/3, and then any other units you have in play will get an additional +1/+1. Any units that come into play after that effect will not get that bonus, and whenever Spiketail Kirin is killed, the other units will still maintain that bonus as well. This card is quite strong. I like it quite a bit. Obviously, we aren't able to pay that 6 at fast speed, so the quote-unquote threat of activation, if you guys played Magic and are aware of that term, is not really a thing. But somewhat it is as well. Your opponent can't be too aggressive. Like, your opponent can't just A-space you when you have this on the board, because of the potential of having an additional 4 damage coming across the board that they have to account for. Like, it's on the board. So there is a certain level of threat of activation, but obviously once you're attacking with it, the jig is up, so to speak, as far as whether you're going to use it or not. It's kind of like a preemptive threat, if you will. Your opponent knows it's on the board, knows it can be activated, but it's not going to be activated in the middle of combat. All right. And finally, wow, I just panicked for a second. I'm not going to lie. My mic flashes when it's on mute, and it bounced. So it was going up and over my... forgot what the guard is called, but the thing that stops your T's from hitting so hard and stuff. There's a word for it. It escapes me right now. But anyways, I saw it when it was bouncing. It looked like the red light was flashing. I was like, did I just talk into a muted mic this entire podcast? But like I said, I like throwing those little bloopers out there for you guys. But yeah, I had a moment of panic. I was about to be like, oh no, dear Jeebus, why? All right, guys, finally, our last hot take of the podcast, I would say, is Teething Whelp. This is, again, another 2-drop. I really liked what they did with 2 drops in this set, or in this format, or both. This is a 2/2 Nightmare Dragon at Uncommon. Super cute looking, by the way. Kind of looks like a mix between a Dragonfly, and I think it's Cubone is the name of it. That Pokemon that has a femur that it beats people with, and it has a skull on its head, even though it has a head. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then purple, obviously. But 2 for 2/2 for 2 and a red. It has Mastery 2, so as soon as it deals damage and survives the first time, it gets flying. So if you're on the play, this card is really good. I actually saw a Sword of Judgment slapped on this thing, and man, was it backbreaking. But long story short, you can drop this thing. Best case scenario, obviously, you are on the play. You play this on turn 2. They don't have a 2-drop, and you get in with this, and now it has flying. Then it has Mastery 6. So after it gets flying, if it deals an additional 4 damage, it will get a permanent +3/+3, becoming a 5/5 flyer. You paid 2 for a 5/5 flyer. That's insane. Yeah, this card is good. Granted, once again, there's plenty of times you play it, and it can't get that initial 2 damage in, so it never gains flying. Or it gets the flying, but then they drop a 2/3 or a 3/3 or a 4/4 flyer, and it just sits there and doesn't do anything, or it gets charred. So, but here's the thing, it's a 2/2 for 2, which is 100% serviceable. So these are the kind of cards I like, where there is a upside, but the floor is absolutely fine. There is no problem whatsoever playing a 2/2 for 2. Like, we literally played a basic 2/2 for 2 just for the influence fixing. So the fact that you can potentially get a 5/5 flyer out of this, like, why not run it? And like I said, best case scenario, you get it on turn 2, you're on the play, you give it flying, you hit again for 2, so it's at 4 mastery already. You slap the Sword of Judgment on it, you get in for 3, and now this thing becomes a 5/5 flyer or a 6/6 flyer, and then the very next turn you're going to trigger mastery on the sword, giving an additional +4/+4. Like, this thing is just a monster with that. And granted, I say this because that's exactly how it happened to me. It definitely happened to me the second time I saw Teething Whelp. It's quite frustrating because I did have, I think I had a Conflagrate or a Streets of Flames in hand. So I was like, oh, cool, I got this. Then they slapped the Sword of Judgment. They got in the extra damage. It got bigger. And I was like, why, oh, why? And then obviously you can also combo this with Justice, where you give it the pump that turn to make sure it gets in the additional damage maybe a turn quicker than your opponent anticipated, which is one of the fun interactions of Mastery. So yeah, that is it. That is going to do it. Quick thing on Mastery 2. Man, now I don't know the name of that card. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. Just because of the fact that Mastery triggers on any damage dealt, period. The Oni Stalwart is actually quite interesting. It is a 1/4 Oni at common for 3 and a green. So, and it has endurance, right? 1/4 endurance. We've seen this before plenty of times. But it's a little interesting in the fact that it has Mastery 4. So after it deals 4 damage, it becomes a 3/6, which is, with endurance, that's quite powerful. Well, the interesting thing is the fact that it only deals 1 damage, so there's very few things it can kill, but it has 4 health, so there's very few things that could kill it, and it has endurance, so why not attack, right? So now, back in the day when you were like, well, they have a blocker, but it's not going to kill my guy, let me just swing with everything so I can keep getting damage in. Now you have to be careful, because now you're triggering the mastery on this thing. And then having a Stalwart on both sides of the board is interesting, because you find yourself just attacking each other to try to get mastery, and then it's like, all right, who has the silence effect or the kill spell to like break the, you know, the parity of it? Because obviously, even if they attack into you, you both block, both your Stalwarts trigger 1 mastery, then you attack into theirs, they block, you both trigger 2 masteries. So it's an interesting little interaction there, just something to think about. Brutish Interloper is a 2/4 warrior at uncommon for 3 and a green, and it has, I'm going to read this backwards because this is how I read it the first time, and I was like, 2/4 for 3, that's solid, that's a Watchful Habanero, sure. Mastery 12 gets +3/+3 in Berserk, so 12 is a lot of damage to deal, but +3/+3 in Berserk is pretty good. Mastery 6 get +1/+1 and overwhelm. So that kind of helps you, right? It becomes a 3/5 after you do, you hit with it or block with it 3 times. That seems reasonable. So this card actually seems quite good, right? Then the last or first word of text is Reckless. Yeah, I have yet to see this card played, and I already have a play set of drafting it late because it goes around really late, but I have not played it either. A 2/4 Reckless just doesn't seem all that strong, and like, man, you have to work to keep this thing alive, and then even after the first 3 attacks, it only becomes a 3/5, which is still fairly easy to block because most of the time in a double block, it's only gonna be able to kill 1 unit. So yeah, this card looked good, but the Reckless really kills it. And I could be wrong. Maybe it's stronger than we think. I might try to draft like a bunch of daring maneuvers and then play this, and then maybe it's great. Or maybe in the next set, there's a little more support for it. Maybe it really wants to work with like the muster card, slapping weapons with spellcraft on it. I'm not quite sure. But so far, Brutish Interloper has not found a home. But all right, guys, that is going to do it for my hot takes, which leads us to our What's the Plays. And I have a couple here. Let me load up the first one real quick. These are not super deep dives, but I do think there's something that has multiple trees. So I wanted to go over these with you and just kind of see what your take was on it. So the first What's the Play this week? Let me go ahead and move this over so the screen isn't as cluttered for my YouTubers once again. Okay, so this first one, let me break it down. Our opponent, 0 of 4 power with fire, primal and shadow. And we're at 3 power with the same. Actually, it's a mirror. Oh yeah, I remember, that's right. Mirrors always do better than me. So 3 of 3. We still have not played our power yet, so we potentially have a 4th power. And fire, primal, shadow. Our opponent is at 24. We are at 17. Our opponent has a 3/4 in play conscripts. It already attacked. They have a 3/3 instigator. We have a 2/2 Skycrag stranger and a 1/2 street urchin. We have they have 3 cards in hand. We have 5 cards in hand with a shadow sigil, a primal sigil, a aggressive ursine, a murder crows, I guess, or whatever, the 4/3. Shoot, I forgot the name of it now. And a cloud snake matriarch, which is the 5/4 for 6. So what's the play here? You can twist the urchin to draw a card. You can play a power and play the crow, or you can play a power and play the ursine, or attack and play the ursine. And I think all those are completely viable. In most cases, you would probably just want to get your card off of urchin while you can. But the fact that I feel like playing the crow would just allow us to trade with either the conscript or the instigator. And obviously double blocking with the stranger and the urchin means that we're going to lose our urchin without drawing a card, which is huge downside. And the fact that the aggressive ursine is able to trade with both the conscripts and or the instigator, as well as making the stranger a decent blocker in the form of a 2/4, and gives us 2 extra activations of our urchin, means that I think the best line of play for the most value is to play our power, attack with both units. Wait, did I attack with both or did I attack with one? I actually think I might have just attacked with one. I don't remember that, actually. And I think I did attack with both. Because if they only attack with one thing... No, I think I did only attack with one. I apologize. I think I only attacked with the ursine, hit him for 1, and then... Or, I'm sorry, the urchin. Hit him for 1, and then played the ursine to ursine. There you go. That's where it's happening. To give the stranger the +2, so it's a 2/4 that can block the instigator, then having the ursine there available to trade with the conscripts, and then obviously having a 1/4 urchin that I could draw cards in the subsequent turns. So that is our What's the Play 1. Let me go ahead and load up number 2 for you guys. All right, number 2 is a little, actually, this one's just gonna be this one's a little more difficult because it's a more elaborate board state. So I'm actually just gonna lightly go over a couple of key points for it. First off, once again, Livia manages to make our cards to mention list in the form that Livia actually, remember, which is quite important, that she makes it to where units with endurance are unable to block. So in the what's the play that I'm showing on screen, there's actually two Steel Legions facing down each other, and essentially they would trade. But with Livia in play, they're actually good to just swing into each other. So that's something to keep in mind. But the biggest thing here is that our opponent had a Roland's Monument, or Memorial. I think it's Memorial? Monument. Let me look it up real quick. Now I got confused. I'm pretty sure it's Memorial, or let's see. Anywho, while I'm going over that, the way this works is that it gives a +X to all to any one of your opponent's units. Or I'm sorry, correction. When a unit dies. Actually, I'm just gonna look it up real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, it is Memorial. Okay, I apologize. All right. Roland's Memorial is a 3-cost Justice Relic at rare. At the end of your turn, if a unit went to your void, give one of your units a +1/+1 for each spell in your void. Once again, at the end of your turn, if a unit went to your void, give one of your units a +X or a +1/+1 for each spell in your void. So of note, because I did misplay against this a little bit, it was a complicated board state. We had a lot of things going on. But so for example, my opponent had 2 spells in their void. So every time one of their units died on their turn, they were able to give another unit a +2/+2 permanently. So I messed this up because I had played Livia with the Onslaught trigger on, and our opponent had an Oathbreaker in play, or an Oathkeeper, I'm sorry, the 1/1 Minotaur that gives a single attacking unit a +1/+1 this turn. And so they were able to attack their Steel Legion over our Legion as a 5/5. So I misread and I misinterpreted and thought it was whenever one of your opponents, or whenever one of their units dies. And so instead of killing the Oathkeeper, I put a -1/-1 on the Steel Legion, making mine bigger than theirs, or at least making them even, so it would become a 4/4 instead of a 5/5. So that's where I misplayed at. So just something to think about when this card is played. It's not played very often, but you really don't need much to make that card good. And it does make combat a little interesting when it comes to your opponent's attackers and whatnot. But once again, I misread it. I thought it was on any turn, so I played it incorrectly. So that's more of a public service announcement I get versus a what's the play. So finally, our third what's the play for the episode is going to be, and I'm hoping to have new what's the plays involving cards around the new format. So this is the final one. This one has a couple lines that I think are all correct, but you kind of play to your odds. Our opponent is 0 of 5 power, and this is in the older format, so they had 4 colors. Once again, they had Fire, Time, Justice, Primal, and it looks by their influence that they are primarily a Legion and Time Primal. We are at 6 of 6 with no power in hand for 2 Time, 2 Justice, 2 Primal, and 2 Shadow. So we're missing Fire, if that's the way your brain works. Our opponent is at 25 with 1 card in hand. We are at 13 with 5 cards in hand, to include a Valkyrie Accuser, the 3/5 for 7 green, that flying in Aegis. When it comes into play, if the Onslaught trigger, put a Timidity curse on an enemy unit, which means it cannot attack. Frostwave, which is the fast spell for 1 and a blue, amplify 3, stun an opponent or an enemy unit. War Wagon, the 3 green 3/3 that you can shift for 5 to give another unit +5/+5, or +3/+3, I'm sorry. And then Watchful Amanara, which is the 2/4 for 3 in a time, and a Corrupted Behemoth, the 4/6 for 5 in a time. Our opponent has a 1/3 Devotee, a 2/2 Stranger, a 2/1 Silenced Hojin, a 4/4 Flying Saddleback, and a 3/2 Ripjaw that is shifted 3. So my question to you is, what's the play? You play Behemoth and leave up Frostwave should they do some kind of cannon shenanigans. And then that way next turn you have the potential of twisting and gaining life back. Do you play your Watchful Almanara and leave up Frostwave? Do you play your War Wagon and leave up Frostwave? Or do you play War Wagon and Watchful Almanara as is, just a 3/3 for 3 and a 2/4 for 3, and do not leave up Frostwave? And yeah, so those are your typically 3, or you just don't play anything and then plan on Frostwaving 2 of their units. So those are your options. I decided to just play my 2 units, the 3/3 War Wagon and the 2/4 Almanara. Reason being is I'd rather be able to block 2 units. I don't have a way to deal with the flyer, and I don't think wasting a Frostwave on it right now is the answer. And playing just the Behemoth means I can gain life later, but I'm only able to block 1 unit, and all the ground units are fairly similar in the form of a 1/3, a 2/2, and a 2/1. So I'd rather be able to prevent 4 damage than just 2. And obviously the following turn, if we are able to and we draw a power, that gives us access to Frostwaving an additional unit, so 3 units instead of 2, and or playing the Valkyrie Accuser that has 2 separate answers to the Saddleback. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what your play was and what you did. I would love to hear it. And come check me out live and tell me also what you would do. But alright guys, that I believe is going to do it. So that's our what's the play. That's our hot takes on the Flame of Xulta pre-release, as well as the shout outs. Thank you once again to all my new subs. I really appreciate you guys. That is great. Thank you so much for supporting the shows. So we're about to add one more thing that I am recently doing. I, once again, mentioning the Misplay podcast, they had mentioned that there's only 4 running podcasts now, or content for Eternal, which is a bit of a shame. I do know there's a lot of people posting on things on YouTube like Kamado and Kalibovich, so I wanted to add another segment, small segment to the show, which is a constructed corner. I am doing this because of the fact that I do run the risk of slightly deviating from my whole limited focus thing. But once again, I've always said I am limited focused. I have done constructed tournament reports and stuff on the show before. So I'm going to do a constructed corner. A good friend of mine on the Discord and in-game, Death3366, is quite a brewer. He likes brewing off-the-wall things that actually do well. He takes them to the Masters every month. And so he has agreed to give me a brew of the week every week so I can post it and kind of tell you guys about it for my constructed people to have something, as well as some of my limited people that like to have a deck to at least get to Masters to get that free legendary. So without further ado, let me tell you about the deck. The deck is called Torment, and it's slower this time. So this is kind of an interesting deck in the fact that it has no specific win condition here. It kind of has a slight toolbox effect, if you will, for those of you that know that term from Magic, where there are a bunch of 1-ofs or silver bullets or 2-ofs that you can use depending on the matchup to end the game, as not exactly quickly, because it does play out like a control deck. So I'll go ahead and read off the deck to you. It is 4 Seek Power, 2 Cull the Deck, 2 Vara's Favors, 1 Wormbait, that's right, 1 Wormbait, 3 Banish, 4 Blight Class Smuggler, 4 Display of Knowledge, 4 Ebon Dude Smuggler, 3 Hailstorm, 4 Wisdom of the Elders, 1 Dumping Ground, that's right, 1 Dumping Ground, 2 Honor the Claws, 3 In Cold Blood, 2 Nullblade, 2 Vara Fedge's Seeker, 3 Jotun Feast Caller, 1 Azadel's Gift, 2 Dizzo's Office, 2 Venom Spine Hydras, which is a personal favorite of mine, 1 Primal Sigil, 1 Shadow, or correction, 4 Shadow Sigil, 1 Time Sigil, 3 Cobalt Waystone, 4 Crest of Cunning, 4 Crest of Mystery, 4 Crest of Wisdom, 4 Seed of Cunning, 1 Seed of Wisdom, and in the market we have a Feeding Time, a Stray into Shadow, a Passage of the Eons, a Whispers of the Void, and a Scourge of Frostholm. I will admit, I myself have played this deck, and it is quite a lot of fun. It can be a little frustrating sometimes if you go up against the wrong matchup, or they have a nut draw, but most of the time this deck puts up a really good fight and is a ton of fun to play, and you really feel like you got there once you stabilize. As you can tell from the deck list, it's actually a majority of draw spells and removal to kind of bridge the gap from the early and mid game over to the late game to find your specific answers. A couple of key things about the deck is the fact that Display of Knowledge uses all three of its modes actually in this deck. They're all of the first one. Obviously, this is the Aurelian, I believe. I don't think it's Corendon. I think it's Aurelian. Forgive me for not necessarily remembering the factions right now, which one of the two it is, but it is the Time Shadow Primal one. And put an attacking enemy unit on the bottom of enemy deck is used for when you need things like Rost, or maybe a Macto where you want to put something on the bottom of your opponent's deck instead of putting it in the void and allowing them to get it back. Then you can use the Draw Relic from your deck to draw Wormbait to draw Null Blade against certain aggressive decks or decks with Aegis, or need to get rid of Void shenanigans, and even a Azendel's Gift against control decks. And then of course you can give some of your units, to include your Smugglers and Jotun Feastcaller, as well as Vara, a +2 attack and quick draw out of nowhere. It's mainly comboed really well with the Jotun Feastcaller because most of the time you'll attack, they think you're just trying to draw the card. They'll block with a unit, and then you make it a 6/4 quick draw, and you will be surprised at how many extra cards you can draw off of that. The deck struggles a little bit against Aegis units. That is why we're running Vara Vengeance Seeker to essentially deal with that, but typically there is a bit of an issue with that because, as you noticed, a lot of it is 1-for-1 removal, so you really want to capitalize on getting rid of key cards and essentially not allowing them to refill their hand. One of the surprises of the deck is the Venom Spine Hydra, which ends up being just a large unit overall, which is always great, but then it can really sneak up on people by being the Entomb, being kill all enemy units. So it is a one-sided board wipe. And I've got to say, playing with this card, it makes blocking and attacking on your opponent's side very difficult because they're not necessarily sure if it wants to cost them the board. With that being said, you have ways of sacking it yourself in the forms of both Wormbait and Dumping Grounds, which allow you to sack it on your turn when you're ready for it, sending it to the void and wiping your opponent's board and then getting in there. Dizzo's Office is a good way to recover if you end up stabilizing yourself a little too late. You can use the Lifesteal from Dizzo's Office with Venom Spine Hydra, Feastcaller, and even the 1/1 Spitelings that you get off of Whispers of the Void, which we'll talk about in a moment, to gain your life back, as well as digging a little deeper in your deck. Now, one other thing this deck does have is, like we were talking about, it has a great array of things in the board to help you deal with certain matchups. For example, any kind of, once again, when you have a lot of recursion, you can pull out Feeding Time to essentially turn an enemy unit to a 2/2 pig and then kill it. You have Straight into Shadows to stop early aggression by wiping the board and giving them all -4 health permanently. You have Passage of Eons to deal with things like Severn decks or time decks that rely heavily on relics. Whispers of the Void allows you to gum up the board having infinite chump blockers, and once again it allows you to slowly ping your opponent to death. It combos really well with our Wormbait to turn those 1/1 Spitelings into giant worms. And then finally, of course, a fan favorite in the meta, Scourge of Frostholm, essentially is the 10 cost triple primal 8/8 dinosaur that enemy players cannot play spells. So this shuts down most control decks. Another tough matchup for the deck is the Diogo combo decks, mainly because there is a minimal to no counter magic in this deck. Obviously, you can make additions to it to accommodate that, but primal is actually time is the splash technically in this deck. But I gotta admit, the deck plays really well. A lot of times you really just want to slam Gift down, because then as they're only playing one thing per turn, that's when you're able to really capitalize on the value of your deck and your cards typically being natural 2-for-1s. And yeah, when you stabilize, you feel really good. You kind of feel like you have your way with the opponent. But like I said, that's going to be a quick breakdown. In Cold Blood does a lot of work. It is a little bit clunkier, but it does a lot of work in this format, considering that most decks are running some form of primal. And if you're able to snag, for example, your opponent's merchants, then you're feeling really good about yourself doing that. So yeah, and then obviously Banish is a versatile. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about that. Hailstorm, Whisperer of the Elders, all things are inclusions in standard meta decks. But yeah, guys, the deck is a lot of fun to play. I definitely suggest you try it out. But that is gonna do it for our new segment. Once again, that is the Constructed Corner, which I will be adding to every show until you guys tell me in the comments below and on live on Twitch that you absolutely hate it and don't ever do it again. So until then, Death3366, thank you so much for the deck. He will continue to provide me with decks on a weekly basis if I'm unable to brew some on my own. And yeah, we'll be bringing to you both ranked as well as expedition decks and aggro, control, mid-range decks, maybe even occasional combo decks as we build. So let me know in the comments below what cards you are excited to build with in this new format. As usual, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys sharing this content, liking it, subscribing, upticking the Reddit posts, sharing, retweeting, all that stuff. All that stuff really goes a long way towards getting this content out there to the world and promoting this great game of ours, Eternal. You can catch me streaming live at twitch.tv/Jedi_EJ every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday mornings. So come hang out. You're more than welcome to give me feedback there and just enjoy the draft format or a little bit of Constructed. Of course, the Discord is in the link down below. You can join that to contact me and talk to the rest of the Eternal Journey gang there. If you want to follow my real life stuff, i.e. my circus performing, my fire performing, cosplay, and all that good stuff, you follow me at CaesarLebear7 on Instagram. And then Twitter and YouTube, this is EJthePodcast or Eternal Journey. That's right, go search me up, find those videos, find the video of this podcast, subscribe there and get notified whenever new videos go up. I'm actually currently uploading some, if I didn't say that before, I don't remember now, videos for this pre-release for Flames of Xulta. So that's gonna be up there. I'm working on the third video now. I actually just finished doing the draft earlier and I'm playing out the games. So that is it. That's gonna do it, guys. Thank you so much. Hopefully next show will be the mechanics report and number crunch. But until next time, as always, happy gaming.